Right, so let's quickly look at how the Valley Road roundabout is looking like. Remember that has been our focus today, just tracking the traffic flow on this specific route, one of those major roads. But we haven't really witnessed heavy traffic, and again, like I mentioned earlier, simply because also
there we go. We continue with Good Morning Kenya, but in case you are just joining us, karibu tena sana. I am Jain Wambui, Kibera, daughter of Kefira. Today we were owning up to our father's names. Remember, you can always talk to us via our various communication platforms. On Twitter, we are using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya. Our official station handle is at KBC Channel 1 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And my handle, Jain Wambui, across all the socials. We welcome you to share with us your thoughts. If you have any questions or you're just seeking clarifications, I'm going to share your comments, some kind of danko flani you want to send through. We welcome you to be part of this show using the aforementioned. Now we want to get started with our Women at the Forefront segment, and today we have the pleasure of having this brilliant lady with us. She is Linda Warui, who is the Senior Manager in charge of Software Engineer at Elewa, as well as the in charge of operations at Italanta Academy. Good morning, Linda.
Good morning, Jane. How are you?
I am well. Thank you so much for making time to be with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Are you on the socials, or you have any platform our viewers can be able to interact with you?
Yeah, sure. Usually it's just my LinkedIn profile, which is just Linda.Warui with the LinkedIn handle at the front.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now let's just dive straight into this. And this conversation today is about, creating opportunity for those that may not have the luxury of having some of these opportunities. And this, at the center of this conversation, is Italanta. Now, let's just start with the background about Italanta. What's it about, to just make sure our viewers even understand what we're talking about?
Okay, sure. So Italanta is basically, or rather Italanta Academy is a program that we set up to offer opportunities to allow our youth to learn more about technology.
Yes.
So Italanta Academy is actually made up of 3 different phases. There is Gundua Talanta, which is basically Swahili for discover. And then there is Kuza Talanta, which is actually where you start to develop the talent. And then there's Makazi Talanta, which is where you deploy the talent. So therefore, when you look at the first phase, which is Gundua Talanta, this is where we are having the program over at Kakuma, which is our first cohort, where we'd like to give the opportunity to the more marginalized or disadvantaged members of the community to be able to get access to opportunities within IT profession. When you look at the Kuza Talanta, which is actually the developed talent, that is where we take people who have graduated out of university with particular IT degrees, and they would like to sharpen their skills. So not only their technical skills, but also their professional skills. And the last leg is the Makazi Talanta, which actually would have 2 phases in that. And you'd have the phase whereby the apprentices that come out of the Kuza Talanta program actually grow and are either deployed to other companies, which are local or international, or absorbed within the Italanta program to work as professionals and seniors within our program, and now mentor the people who would be in the phase 1, phase 2. As well, we'd like to give the opportunity, and this is more future plans, to digital nomads who would be interested in coming and mentoring and coaching talent that we are growing here in Kenya and largely in Africa. So when we look at the entire program, right now, phase 2 would be the one we started with, which is Kuza Talanta. But we realized that we can actually start to hone that talent more early for students who maybe have finished high school education and then what's next for them, right? Because they're from marginalized or disadvantaged communities, and most of them unfortunately don't get the opportunity to go to universities. So we'd like to give them access to opportunities where they'd be able to learn and then grow through the pipeline and to the point whereby they actually become IT professionals.
It's very interesting that you guys chose to go with the IT field. I'd like to understand what was the thinking towards coming up and, you know, focusing on the IT space.
So usually when you look at, in fact, I think there's one thing I was thinking about just recently, especially with Corona and everything.
Yes.
IT has infiltrated every single sector of our lives, right? From, if you think about childhood to now, literally, I don't think there's anything you can think of whereby IT has not touched. So the world is naturally progressing to a very IT-centric kind of form of interaction. And this has come out even more clearly when we had Corona and you had to find ways, exactly, you had to find ways to digitally access either services or people, and therefore not giving people the opportunity to grow in a field that is clearly taking over a lot of the world is not a good thing. So that is particularly why we looked at IT, where it's headed, where the future is going, and where we can be able to plug in talent to be able to meet that future.
All right. And is that also one of the reasons as to why you chose to start with the marginalized communities, the marginalized individuals, as opposed to the general populations who might be more aware and may be more in touch with the IT space?
So yes, partially because I think the marginalized communities get left behind, not because of anything, but because they're not presented with equal opportunity. So we wanted to give space for the marginalized people to be able to access some of these educational opportunities at no cost to them, but then it allows them to now enter the professional forum with the same opportunities as people who got a time to go to university and graduate with degrees in that. So we do still cater for the people who went to university and everything like that, like I said, through the Kuza Talanta program, the second phase. So they can still come in at that phase, but especially when we're talking about the disadvantaged and marginalized communities, we realize that they have very little opportunity after secondary school, right? Because you have a secondary school certificate, and then what? So get married, find something. Exactly. So they're not really given a lot of opportunity in the professional setting, and this is why we want to take the ones who are interested in IT and start to grow them through that career path.
Awesome. Now, you had mentioned Kakuma refugee camp. How did that even come into play? Let's just start there.
So it's actually a bit of an interesting story. What happened is our chairman was attending a UNHCR event, and through that event he actually met the CEO of Windle. And Windle is a non-government organization that is responsible for education within Kakuma and Dadaab. And Kakuma alone, they have about 9 secondary schools with about 17,000 students within. So it just turned out that, because whenever you're thinking about plugging in a new program, the first step is always, who do you know on the ground that knows the situation and can be able to navigate that particular setting. So Windle became the first partner that we spoke to in terms of, let's see what we can do with this idea to be able to get talent out of Africa and be able to offer this talent, especially to, if you think about Europe and North America, they have give the youth. So that was actually the problem statement to begin with. And now to find the necessary partners who can allow us to actualize that vision. So the first partner that our chairman was able to interact with was Windle. And then after that, he met the CEO and founder of Elewa. And Elewa basically is an education innovation company that was incorporated in Kenya in 2015, and they deal with large-scale professional training. So they already had the experience with what the academy was looking to achieve. Then the third partner that our chairman was able to come across was Microsoft in terms of the Africa Development Center. And we know that, first of all, Microsoft is one of the leading technical companies in the world. Secondly, the African Development Center is very, very keen on developing African talent by way of engineers. So Microsoft now came into the picture to offer not only financial support, but also mentorship and coaching through their African Development Center engineers, who will be available to the cohort to be able to walk them through that.
Awesome. Now, here you are, you've identified, we'll start with the Kakuma refugee camp. Now, there's thousands of people here, thousands of young people for that matter. How did you go about identifying the specific young adults or children, you'll tell us the age gap that you have been targeting. How did you go about identifying who to start with? Because filtering through, this one deserves this opportunity at this particular time, you'll be in the second cohort. How did you go about that identification process?
Okay, right. So let me start let me start with the Kakuma program, because that one was a very, very structured approach to how we came to the final candidates. So when we actually announced the program, there was about 250 candidates that were interested in participating in the same.
And what's the age group that you were targeting?
It was mainly people who had just finished secondary school, so we're talking about maybe 18 to 21, around there.
Okay.
Yeah. So what happened is that we had 250 candidates who were interested in the program, and then we had to whittle that down to at least about initially a short list of about 50 candidates, and this process was actually vetted by UNHCR. So the idea was to look at the 250 candidates, check out their papers, their grades for KCSE, and all those moving parts to actually be able to whittle down and come up with a short list. Now, just to mention that this is actually a pilot program that we're running, and the idea is that out of the success of this program, which we're pretty sure that'll go pretty great, we're hoping to now build that out into other camps where Windle is actually involved in, and also to build that out in Nairobi to areas like Kibera and Mathare. So we then had the 50 candidates, and what happened is that they were interviewed by a panel of the partners, that is Elewa, Windle, and Microsoft. The panel then decided who was able to kind of participate in the cohort, and that list of 50 was cut down to 20. Now, some of the factors and that were important, especially to become part of the cohort, was motivation. Not even the fact that you've learned exactly. It's not about have you learned IT in the past? Do you already have a background in that? That was a plus, but it wasn't a factor,
one of the
key
requirements.
No, it wasn't a key factor in actually choosing the candidates. The motivation was the most important part, because at the end of the day, if you have the drive to learn, then nobody can stop you. If you don't have that drive to learn, then nobody can help you, right? So it's really important to have that engagement on a candidate level to make sure that they're driven to stay for the length of the program, which is 30 weeks. So out of that, we managed to pick out 20 candidates, and I'm happy to say out of the 20 candidates, at least we have some ladies sitting in that.
I was actually coming to that, because when you talk about the IT space, almost immediately it is male dominated. So many men are in this area as opposed to females. Give us the numbers.
So we're talking about 20 candidates. The number of females we were hoping for was 50-50. Unfortunately, that also comes about by how many actually apply. Like you said, there's a stereotype in the world that IT is a very male-dominated thing, and sometimes not a lot of women apply. Now, the women who made the cut was 4 women, and we also managed to involve 3 members out of the host community, not just the refugee camps, but we also wanted to involve the host community in Turkana as well. So therefore, we have 4 ladies who are sitting in that, and I'd like to also say that even in our phase 2, which is Kuza Talanta, our apprenticeship, we actually have 5 ladies sitting in that, inclusive of myself. So we try to involve women as much as possible to show people that you can apply. This is something that women can do, and they're doing it today.
What was the general reception of when you went out to ground, talking to the people, presenting this idea, and especially at the camp, what was the reception like?
So the reception, clearly, even from the application, was very positive. To get 250 candidates who want to participate first time round is pretty good. If you think about it, it's actually really, really good. So the reception was amazing, and without Windle as a partner, because they kind of drove the communication in the area, because of course they are very, very conversant. They have 49 years of experience dealing with this. So they were responsible for engaging the stakeholders. They were responsible for communicating the program. Microsoft and Elewa were involved more remotely with regards to the same. However, when it comes to the program, we now have the coaches who will be coming out of Italanta, traveling to Kakuma and being on ground with the students and taking them through the curriculum.
All right. Now, also looking at this particular group that you targeted, they might not have the purchasing power to be able to acquire some of these things that are needed whenever you're attending any training or any school. So looking at the infrastructure that is necessary, looking at what the tools that they may need to go through this 30-week program, how has that been factored in, looking at what you guys are doing?
So again, Windle being a very strong partner and having the experience there, because they already offer educational opportunities to the refugees there, they were kind enough to offer us their training center so that we can actually be able to have the training sessions happening there. That means we were, through also Microsoft funding, we were able to ensure that certain basics are there, such as the internet connectivity is up to par. Windle was able to offer also accommodation to the coaches who will be traveling there to actually carry out the training sessions. With regards to the students themselves, of course, they have to travel from the camp to the training centers. We're able to offer them, and mind you, everything I'm saying for the candidates themselves, they did not contribute a dime. This is part of what we offer as the program. So we were able to give them bicycles to be able to travel from their camps to the training centers. They will be given laptops as well that they will work on through that period, and they will be given as well as a monthly stipend of about 5,000 Kenya shillings for any of the small things that they will need through the program. So we made sure that we covered all the elements that would be kind of sticky elements for them.
The details. The devil is always there.
The devil is in the details.
All right, so 30 weeks lapse, the first cohort is done with their studies, and we're living in a time where unemployment is quite real, and especially for the younger population, you know, as you rightfully put it, human resources there, but the opportunities are not there. So looking at this group, after they're done with the training, what's next for them?
Okay, so what's next for them? Like I said, this is a phased approach, right? So the idea is that phase 1 should lead to phase 2, should lead to phase 3 in an ideal situation. So what we'd like to do is we'll give you the 30-week training. In fact, of the 30-week training, 25 is where you're concentrating mainly on the learning aspect, from the basics of development all the way through to how to analyze, problem solve, troubleshoot, how to test your code. So you're gaining all that knowledge within the first 25 weeks. The last 5 weeks of the program is constituted of participating in Microsoft's Game of Learners. It's kind of a hackathon where all these developers come in and they're given different challenges that they need to kind of participate in as a team. Now, one of the things that we're growing in the learners is not only their technical skills, but also their soft skills. So how to work in the team, how to communicate. It's not all about just the technical skill, how to code. That part could be very easy because it's just you and the machine. But in the real world, it's not just you and the machine. It is you and the team. It is you and the client. There are very many moving parts. Now, once they grow out of that, what we're looking to offer them is an opportunity to actually move to phase 2, which is an apprenticeship program that we have that runs for a maximum of about 2 years. And the idea is that within that period, you should move from a junior developer to a mid-level or senior, depending on, of course, the effort of the candidate and how quickly they're able to pick up these intricacies of the IT profession.
That goes back to the drive that you were looking for in the first place.
Goes back to the motivation. So one thing I solely believe is you can do a lot with motivation. You may not have the knowledge, but as long as you're motivated to learn, you can do anything, right? So in a maximum of 2 years, we're looking to grow, or rather sharpen now those skills that they've picked up and get them to a point where they're media or senior level developers. From there, again, it comes to personal choice. If you would like to move out to other organizations, you will be at a world-class level of a developer. So you can move locally, you can move internationally, and again, there's the opportunity to be absorbed within Atalanta, and therefore you can then move to the 3rd phase, whereby you will become more of a mentor and a coach to the people in the first and the second phase.
Awesome. Now, I like the fact that you mentioned this is a phased out program. It is not all under one roof at the same time, and each phase has its own needs. Now, someone could be watching us today and they're wondering, okay, I've heard you, I love it, and I want to be able to assist, but I am able to assist in this particular way. From where you stand, what kind of assistance do you feel is necessary towards achieving the goals that you set out to achieve as an organization to start with?
Okay, so in terms, I mean, there's different ways.
Of partnerships especially.
Exactly, there's different ways to be involved, and we welcome partners. I don't think we can define that we're looking for this specific kind of partner. What we're looking for is partners who have listened to our story and feel like we fit in what they're trying to achieve. The goal here at the end of the day is to ensure that we actually offer equal opportunity, even to people who wouldn't necessarily be exposed to that. So if you would like to be a part of that, definitely you can get in touch with us through our LinkedIn at Italanta, or through our website, which is italanta.net. There's also the fact that maybe you don't have the cash or the mentorship angle in terms of large scale like Microsoft, but as an individual you would like to be involved, right? So we also offer that opportunity if you feel that you would like to volunteer your time to be able to come and coach and mentor people who are sitting in the program. That is also a conversation we can have, and again, you can get in touch with us through our website.
I love it. And also just looking at those that feel they also want to benefit from this, and looking at the fact that you mentioned at phase 2, that's where you pick guys from different backgrounds, not necessarily disadvantaged. How can they be able to reach out to you to know what is required of them in order to be part of this program at a particular time, or when it will be available?
So at the moment I think we're partnering up mainly with Windle in terms of access to the disadvantaged communities. One thing that we're looking to do is then further the communication and the awareness as we go. Like I said, this is kind of a pilot program. So right now we're kind of doing it with the Windle team to kind of ensure that we have that communication at par. After that, we will then move with them through the various camps, and as I mentioned as well, we are looking to open the Nairobi campus, which is looking to go to marginalized areas like Kibera and Mathare. So therefore, as we go through the phases, the communication and the awareness will be there within the necessary communities as to how to get involved in the program. So definitely this is something that we're building out. But for now, if anybody would like to get in touch with us through our website, it is there for you, italanta.net.
Italanta.net. And I think at that particular point, we just want to wrap it up. Our time is up, but thank you so much for coming through and sharing with us this beautiful journey that you guys are on. We do wish you the absolute best. Maybe you could remind us your LinkedIn handles once again, and the website, just for the benefit of our viewer as we get to close.
Okay, sure. So my LinkedIn profile is on LinkedIn. You can just search for linda.warui, or just my name, Linda Warui. In terms of the website, it's italanta.net.
There you have it. And that brings us to a close of Good Morning Kenya and Women at the Forefront specifically. We have been speaking with Linda Warui, who is the Senior Manager in charge of Software Engineering at Elewa, and she's also in charge of operations at Italanta Academy. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much, Jane.
Karibu sana. Guys, we're done. Be sure to join us again tomorrow morning right here on Good Morning Kenya. I am Jain Wambui. Bye-bye.